welcome to the second episode of Won't You Be Our Neighbor. This is Darren Schulman. I'm the Upper Arlington City Attorney. Normally my co-host is City Manager Steve Shoney, but you don't look like Steve.
Guess who's back, everybody? It's
Jackie
Thiel.
Jackie's back. I have this theory now that the show is so fun that you're just making people sick continually so you can be on the show.
Yes, I've actually never been invited to be on the show, but I'm the backup when people are sick, so here I am, episode 2, appearance 2.
So Jackie will be doing the first half of this episode while we interview Debbie McLaughlin, our excellent, is it Parks and Rec Director? Is that your official title?
Yes, it is.
So you can see I prepared really hard for this. Usually Steve takes this part. But we're going to be talking about some things coming up with registrations and a new program. So without wasting time, why don't you talk to us about what's coming up with registration? Because in this town, I've learned it's a big deal when you can sign up for stuff.
Absolutely, particularly our summer programs. Summer day camp, of course, parents want to make arrangements now to plan for their summers ahead of time, and that registration is coming up here in February. So we're excited to launch those dates. February 1st will be for parents that want to sign up for the full service camp that we offered last year. And then on February 3rd, it'll be open up for those that like the convenience of the pay by day option. This is where parents pick and choose what days their children may attend camps and pay accordingly. So we're offering both options this year. And those are both for residents. Non-residents will be the following day on February 4th.
So basically February 3rd is a big day. Is it?
First.
It's February 1st.
February 1st for
Sorry.
the full summer. So that's our full summer 10-week traditional day camp or 8-week therapeutic recreation day camp.
So if that's something you want to do, you got to mark your calendar before it opens up to everybody in the world.
6 a.m.
So you guys went through some registration updates this past year. What do people need to do to be prepared for that?
We most recently updated our splash page, and that makes the recreation portal much more user-friendly, as if you're shopping in any other entity's website. So with that, the main thing we want customers to do is to go back into their RegTrack account and make sure that with their web browser, their household account identification and password transfers. If not, input that again to be ready for that the rush of the day camp registration season.
Perfect.
So the reason you're saying that is because people literally are going to be lining up at 6 a.m. and if they realize they have to refresh their password, it will slow them down the crucial 3 seconds. And
Absolutely, yes. And
man, this is like cutthroat up in here.
It's high demand.
Right. And one other item with day camp is we have a different location this year. So we're continuing to go back to Thompson Park and Reed Road Park, but we'll be at Barrington Elementary School as our third site.
I know the camps are a big program, but there's also a pretty big release of activity guides that people get excited about. When can people expect their most updated activity guide?
Yeah, towards the end of February, the spring and summer activity guide will come out. And with that, we have registration for all of our programs starting March 9th for residents. And then Safety Town will have its own special date because of the volume and the rush we have for Safety Town. And that it will be on March 23rd for residents and on the 24th for non-residents.
And that one for real is a big deal, right?
That absolutely is. That is
I could see the people lined up outside my office.
Yes, the kindergarten, first grade, it's a rite of service into learning how to ride a bus, learning how to ride bikes to school, use crosswalks. Our police department does an excellent program with that.
Is there anything else people need to know to be ready for this upcoming February 1st date, or do we want to talk about the new program that I think we're all really excited about?
We're ready for the new program, yes.
All right, let's talk about this. Is it called Play UA?
It's the Play UA
So what
financial
is Play UA?
Yeah, so Play UA is a financial assistance program designed to allow families to play in UA. And with that, it is to overcome financial barriers that families may have to where recreation activities may not be within their discretionary income. So what's new is when people go through a process to apply online, they meet financial criteria such as it's very similar to the school district's free or reduced lunch program. Once you validate that you're a resident and attest that you do meet those requirements, you will receive a 50% discount on all programs and registration passes, pool membership, tennis membership for within your family. The only difference is for summer day camp, we're limited at $400 per person because of the volume of families that may qualify and to spread the offerings throughout our community.
And it's a great way to make our programs accessible to people who might not otherwise be able to pay for them.
Absolutely. So this is limited to Upper Arlington residents, which are people who live or work within our city limits.
So if you're one of our many fans and listening in like Europe right now, I'm sorry you cannot take advantage of this program. So that sounds great, but how is it funded? Because I think people might notice that when they're registering as well.
We will be charging a $1 transaction fee, within our RecTrack system. So it'll be $1 for no matter how many programs you register for in one transaction, you're charged once, $1. And then the same as $1 for every membership you may have or facility rental. So through those dollar transaction fees, we will develop an ongoing sustainable funding mechanism to then allow these families that have financial needs to be able to participate in programs.
So when you're paying that dollar, it's not going to the credit card company. It's actually going to your neighbors and helping them participate as well.
Absolutely. All of those dollars will be earmarked for our financial assistance program, and we will pull from them and allocate those funds back over to the program or pass facility revenue to offset that allowance.
It's so exciting because I know that that's been something that's been talked about, for my whole time here, and we've had small programs here and there, but this sounds like you guys actually figured it out and have a sustainable way to keep it going.
Yeah, we are absolutely excited to be able to offer this to the community so that families can participate in programs at their leisure, any program that they would want, and know that the funding is there to back that we're not going to then struggle to recover our costs.
Well, Debbie, I want to thank you for coming on. The purpose of Won't You Be Our Neighbor is to let people know what's going on at the city, as well as kind of humanize the people behind the city operations, because a lot of times people's only interaction is coming in and maybe signing up for something. So it's great to talk to you. I want people to get excited because Steve supposedly will be back for our community interview. The second part of our podcast is to introduce folks to an interesting member of the community, and I think this next one promises to be very interesting. So thanks again, Debbie. Jackie, thank you for stepping in.
Thanks for having me again. I
the
appreciate
ratings are going
it.
through the roof continually.
I'm sure that's what it is.
We're gonna have a podcast, yeah.
We are here today with Mr. Bill Hosket. Bill is a fantastic member of our community, and more importantly to Darren and I, comes with an incredible basketball pedigree. He, I think, was Mr. Basketball in high school.
Long time ago.
Played for the OSU Buckeyes. Actually has a Olympic gold medal from the Mexico Olympics.
Right.
I remember that.
1968. Right. Yes, sir.
An NBA championship.
I was part of the New York Knicks when they won it. Yes.
And I didn't realize this until I was going back and I actually did research.
I did too. I have notes, which is unusual for us to prepare.
Not that we do city business just by the seat of our pants.
I meant maybe. For the show.
Yep, for the show. You were on the Knicks for the Willis Reed game, right?
Yes.
Which has got to be one of the most famous NBA games in history, right?
It was a phenomenal experience. It was the Knicks versus the Lakers, and the Lakers had little-known guys like Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and Wilt Chamberlain. So they were very, very good, and we had a magical season in New York, and Willis was injured, and I actually replaced Willis when he got hurt in the fifth game. I'm the answer to a great trivia question in New York. Who in the world came in for Willis Reed and had to guard Wilt Chamberlain, which I didn't do. I just kind of stood behind him.
I don't think anybody really guarded it, right?
And we came back in the second half, nothing that I did, but we were down 9 when Willis got hurt in the fifth game and came back and won. And not to go back in history, but then we had to go to Los Angeles for the sixth game without Willis, and Wilt had 45 in 3 quarters and totally dominated the game. And then the seventh game of which you mentioned was the one where we weren't sure he was going to play, except he told us, I'll be out there. And they injected Willis right before the game, and he came out in Madison Square Garden. And I've been in a lot of buildings over my basketball career and heard a lot of noise, but I've never heard anything like that before a game. And it was absolute bedlam. And it was interesting because the Lakers quit warming up and stopped, and we're watching Willis come out on the court as well. So, and then he started, made the first 2 hoops, and was dragging his leg. And Walt Frazier had an unbelievable night, and we were fortunate enough to win in the 7th game. So, quite an experience. Long time ago, but a great experience.
That's awesome. So the other way to phrase the trivia question is, who's the person that had the Knicks fans so excited to see Walt Frazier come back? And so, so we do a couple things with the podcast. We do things like this, have a little bit of a conversation, then we'll ask you a little bit about your experience in UA. But one of the things we do is Darren and I are both podcast fans and sports fans, and so we've adopted the start, bench, cut question. So I'm going to give you three people.
Whoa, okay.
Who's your top, who's your second, who's your third? But instead of doing players, I'm going to do coaches. And you broadcast for the Buckeyes for basketball games for a while, and I know you still follow the college game.
Right.
So start, bench, cut. Izzo, Boeheim, Calipari.
Izzo.
Start.
Yeah.
Okay, Boeheim, Calipari. Who do you put? Who do you rank above? On
Probably
each of those?
Calipari, number two.
Okay.
Little different history for him,
Yeah.
as the same with Boeheim.
Yeah.
But big Tom Izzo fan.
Why? What do you love about Izzo?
First of all, he's in the Big Ten, and I knew him when he was Judd Heathcote's assistant, and we became friends. And he's very, very competitive, good athlete himself in Northern Michigan, football and basketball. And you can see the football in his Michigan State basketball teams.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. He would probably not be the easiest person to play for, but neither was Woody Hayes. And I think when the guys graduated, they really appreciated what he did for them and how he stands by them after they've played for him. So he's just a very good human being.
Good.
If I threw in Roy Williams, would that change any of your answers?
He would probably be number two. Yeah.
See, I told you he was up there.
If Roy was in the conversation. Yeah.
So I want to go back to the Olympics. There aren't very many people who have Olympic medals, and you're probably the first one that I've ever met. Is that fair to say? I don't know.
It's the first one. I think I've met some somewhere along the line. First one that I've met that has a basketball gold medal.
So where is it? Where's the medal?
It's at my home here in Arlington.
I mean, is it like I would like carry it around with me all the time around my neck, like forever?
Well, you get a big green spot on your chest if you wear it. No, it's a wonderful thing to have done and to be part of. And, of course, basketball is a team sport, obviously. And we kept the streak alive. In 1968, the U.S. had never lost a game in the Olympics in basketball. And it's the only sport in the Olympics that's native to the United States. And so it was we had some pressure on us. There's not any question. There was some racial issues, believe that many years ago.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And the Olympics were also in the fall that year, so a lot of the pro pressure was if you go to the trials, you may not get drafted, or the pro teams will look differently at you because you'll miss training camp in the first week of the season because the Olympics were actually in October.
And this may be an ignorant question, but now the NBA players are in the Olympics, but back then, was it college?
All amateurs.
That's what I thought.
All amateurs.
So you impact your draft stock by participating, but it was all amateurs.
Right. We were definitely all amateurs. We were, 21, 22. Some guys from the armed services played. They were a little bit older. But when you got to the Olympic Games, you were playing against virtually the professional teams from other countries. They were supported by their governments, and we were playing against guys 28, 32 years old. So it was like an amateur team playing professional teams in some regards, especially with the European countries. They were very good and very mature. But we had an unknown guy named Spencer Haywood that was 19 years old, came from junior college, and made the team. It was Lou Alcindor then, Kareem now, but he elected not to go to the trials, as did Elvin Hayes, who signed professionally. And I can remember asking Fred Taylor when I got the letter in probably, January of my senior year at Ohio State. And after practice, I told him, Coach, I got this letter from the Olympic Committee. What are your thoughts? And he said, well, you're going to make your own decision, but I can tell you it's the biggest disappointment in John Havlicek's career. He went to the trials and wasn't selected. Lucas was the automatic. He was player of the year, and they were only going to take one player from Ohio State. And he said John was phenomenal in the trials but didn't make it. And I thought, well, if I have a chance to do something the great John Havlicek never got a chance to do, I'm going. So
yeah.
They invited 88 players to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and selected 12, and I was fortunate enough to be in the group. So, and we had JoJo White and Spencer Haywood and Charlie Scott and some other people. So it ended up being a very solid team, but we certainly weren't overpowering and probably weren't even favored to win.
That's awesome. So you got the gold medal. After your basketball career, you went into the insurance business. So how do you insure a gold medal?
It's part of your personal lines coverage, and there's no value they can put on it, because there's a lot of sentimental value with a gold medal.
So you're saying the 1978 second place layup relay ribbon that I found at my parents' house I can't insure that.
We'll take care of it for you.
You'll take care of it for us?
It's valuable to you. That's what's important to us. So.
Well, good.
You're probably not getting it again. You're probably retired from that field.
I figured it's Hosket and Ullin. Am I remembering
Ullin.
Right?
Yeah, Hosket and Ullin Insurance.
So
yes.
I now know that Hosket and Ullin can take care of that, and I'll call
no problem.
I'll call your son up, and we'll get that taken care of.
I feel bad after this podcast. He's going to get all these calls. Can you insure my participation trophy for the fun run? And,
what are those goofy things that you collect?
Funko Pops. Can you insure Funko Pops?
We'll get after that for you.
Those are actually worth something. We can have a whole show about that. But.
So how I got to know Bill a little bit better, we'd seen each other kind of around the community, but how I got to know you a little bit better was through the work that you're doing to help with the fundraising for the community center. So can you talk to us a little bit about why you decided to get involved in that? What to you is appealing about having a community center in Upper Arlington?
Well, I've lived here for quite a few years. I grew up in the Dayton area, but came to Ohio State, and my wife and I went to high school together and both came to Ohio State together, and actually got married in college and ended up living at the very end of Northwest Boulevard near North Star in a townhouse. And we were part of the Upper Arlington community. Didn't even know what community we lived in. We were just trying to get close to the university. But as it turned out, we've met a lot of people. Coach Taylor lived in this community. A lot of the people that we met and socialized with were all in Upper Arlington, many of them born and raised right here. But so it's after professional basketball, we decided this is where we wanted to live and came back. So we've raised 3 sons here. They've all gone to the Arlington high schools and grade schools, and it's been a wonderful experience. So we've just have always been very pleased that we made the selection. It was basically thinking about having a family and who would have the best school system. And obviously the residential area was also very important to us. But we've become part of the community, and to be very honest with you, not that I'm sitting in front of you, but we've really enjoyed it. It's been a great experience for us and our family. And all 3 boys are now married and all live in the community. So
that's amazing.
We're kind of spoiled that way. We don't have to travel to see all our grandchildren.
Yeah. So it's about, for you, the community center, it's about kind of bringing those additional assets to yourself and your family and the grandkids. Is that kind of what the appeal is?
It's going to be beneficial for everyone. That's what's so important, and it's been needed for so many years. I volunteered as an Optimist basketball coach when my kids were in elementary school, and you got 1 hour of practice a week and then played a game on Saturday morning. That was the deal. And I did it with all 3 boys at different stages. And it was interesting because they would assign you practice times, and you would share an elementary gym with another team. So you had usually 1 basket and 10 kids trying to learn how to play, and there weren't any other facilities. There was nowhere to go. And you had strange times that they allowed you to practice.
And you're dodging the cafeteria, tables.
Exactly. And you had to get out of there on time because there was a dance class coming. So it was very interesting. And I used to think then, I cannot believe we don't have everything else we have in this community, that we don't have space, not just for basketball, but for all these activities. And Now that I'm a senior, you look at it the same way. Where do people meet? Where do they go? We do the best we can, but it's nothing like what we envision the community center to be, and it's much, much needed. And I think that I have thought about it for a long time, but so has the rest of the community, as evidenced by the vote.
Yeah.
When nearly 80% of the people say this is what we need, and ideal location, I think, and it was a vacant property that needed to be transferred into this facility, and so I think it's a great opportunity for the community.
Good. And, we're working hard on it, and I really appreciate the work that you and everybody else on that committee are doing, because it really does have to be, it can't just be something that the government puts together and we do it kind of in our vacuum. And so getting input from the community, whether it be through the fundraising processes or through all the other outreach that we're doing, is great. And so getting kind of hearing from you about what's important to you as you see us do it, and hearing from everybody in the community has been really important for us and enriching for me as we go through the process.
Well, I think it's been great that the committee and the city leaders have reached out to the community and to get their input, because obviously they voted on a concept without knowing exactly what it was going to be or what it's going to look like, and that's the natural way of doing that. And now that we're getting input from the community, we're making changes. It'll probably alter the cost a little bit, as you're well aware, because of the changes that are necessary. I mean, we have, you take a simple thing like everybody was worried about parking, and so the change has been made to add underground parking, and that's
not cheap.
That's not cheap, especially in this day and age with what's going on. So I think it'll be very, very special once completed, and I like the process that there's been a lot of outreach to the community to get input from all groups, from youth all the way to seniors, and that's what this community is all about. So I think it'll be wonderful once done.
Yeah, so we're recording this on, what is today? It's Friday the what?
Wow, there are 4 people in the room, and at least 3 of them didn't know what day it was. We're going to let you off the hook.
It was 21st.
Yeah.
One knew.
God, Friday the 21st. And so we just got back this week the first look at our community survey, our community internet survey. We got 2,644, I think, people to respond to the survey.
Is the survey closed?
It's closed now. So, that's the kind of, when you look at other communities, to have a community that's got 12,000 households, to have that many residents responding is just fantastic.
And at least one put in for curling.
Was that you?
Probably.
We will not have a curling rink at the community center. Sorry.
Not yet.
We're working
now
on it.
Now that's on the podcast.
Yeah.
Now that we put it on the pod, there's going to be all 20 people who listen are going to send in notes saying we want curling.
It's a grassroots movement.
Yeah, exactly. You can wear your sweater to do the curling. It'll look appropriate. So as you've had a great sports career, you've had your career in business. I know you're still going to the office some, but maybe you're starting to wind that down a little bit. What are you looking forward to? What's next in the next couple of years for Bill Hosket and family?
Well, I think I'm still involved in the business. Brad, who's also on one of the honorary chairman of the committee, is my youngest son. He's a managing partner of our business. My son Brad also works there. We have offices, we have one here, we have one over in the Dayton area where I'm from, and so I'm going to keep my eye on that. It continues to grow, and it's continuing to be fun. They don't need me as much as they once did, that's for sure, and that's a hard realization that you have to come to. But I've gone through it as a former player years ago. I had a basketball camp, and it kind of shocks you when kids start calling you Mr. Hosket. And, I had a grandson this Thanksgiving, Brad's youngest, sat on my lap at Thanksgiving at our place down in Southern Ohio and said, Paul, what color did your hair used to be?
That's a blow right there.
So we all go through cycles, right? And so we're going to stay active in the community, obviously. like I said, we have this place in Southern Ohio. I enjoy golf. I enjoy yard work. There's travel that we want to do that we haven't done as much as my wife would like to do. That's for sure. So she probably doesn't want me home full time, though. So we're going to stay active in other endeavors.
One of the things we do every time this is our second interview, we're going to try and do every time, is ask you two questions at the end. What do you love about UA, and what would you change?
What I love about Upper Arlington is the community spirit and the people we've met. I mean, you can have great facilities and beautiful homes and nice city services, but it all comes down to the people in all facilities. You know, Ohio State talks about all the great facilities they have, athletic and otherwise, but the thing that stood out to me were the people that we met at Ohio State, and that's always been the key. So there's a spirit about this community. As I mentioned, we lived at the other end of Upper Arlington, at the very end, and while we were in college, and we were at the tail end of the 4th of July parade every year, and that was quite an experience, just watching how the people lined up and what it meant to them. I mean, it hasn't changed. I mean, it's you guys deal probably with people that want to put their chairs out a week and a half early and block the streets and everything else.
I think every year after January 1, I think we start to see them. So I think I saw some of that last week.
Yeah. But, you know, and the number of young people that come back to the community for the 4th just tells you it was a positive experience for them. And so from top to bottom, it's been well run. You might be concerned about your taxes, but we do have good schools, and I've chaired levy committees in the past. We were involved in the last levy to help out with the new high school and all the changes we made in the other schools, and so it continues to evolve, and it's been a great experience for us. I mean, everyone raising a family wants to live in a safe community and one that's progressive, and this has always been here. And the one void I will mention is the community center. And I've talked about it for years, but nothing ever really happened. You can talk about it with your neighbors, but until the city leaders get involved and a facility becomes available, then it all came together. And I should mention to you guys that I had two great friends in this community, neither of which grew up here. One was Jeff Keeler of the Fischel Company, and of course John Christie was at Worthington Industries, and we served on some boards together and became very good friends. And they talked about this community center all the time, and that there's a need. You know, there's one thing we're missing here. So I think not only did I want to serve as a chair or an honorary chair on the fundraising committee, but kind of as a legacy to those two guys, nice. It's something that you want to fulfill. I just wish they were here to be part of it.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, it is one of the things that I love about folks in our community is they do bring that sense of history and a sense of needing to honor those who help make this community great and make their lives richer, and still have this vision of the future. And that's one of the things that I think we take for granted, and we love it. So I want to thank you for coming on the podcast today. This was a lot of fun for me. I don't know about Darren. I was
geeking out on the basketball stuff. And we made it 2 episodes without the thing to change being getting rid of the city attorney and the city manager.
That's right. We're trying to.
Streak continues.
Yes.
Well, you're fortunate we're running out of time.
Yeah, exactly.
I gave him one thing to change. Two and three would have been you and me. Yeah. All right. Well, Bill, thanks a lot for your time, and thanks for your continued commitment to the community.
Thanks, all of you.
Nice to meet you.
All right.
You bet.